Hello everybody. So today I'm going to teach you guys how to geocache. And what you might be wondering is, what is geocaching? Now, geocaching is an international treasure hunt in which there is a thing called a cache, which is usually between the size of maybe like a film canister all the way up to like a milk carton or a jug. So I mean, they can be relatively large, but they can also be very small. What's going to be in this cache is there's going to be a little logbook, and sometimes there might even be little trinkets and some things that you can do when you guys are geocaching. If you bring a little item with you, which I happen to have brought a little frog with me, and this is what we're going to be using as our fair trade. Now, for a fair trade, what you're going to be doing is, if you do end up finding a trinket in the canister or in this container, in this cache, you are going to have to trade your item for whatever is in there. And sometimes there might even be geocache coins, and these coins, they get tracked from place to place. People are able to monitor where these coins are going, and it's just a really cool thing altogether. One thing that is really important to note is that when you are finding these caches, you will be using a GPS tracker. And once you are close enough to your location, to your cache, it's important to note that the GPS tracker marks the point at which the cache was originally placed. And so sometimes it might get moved, and which is a very important thing to note when you do find it, to put it exactly where you found it, exactly the exact place at which you found this cache. Not only that, but it's also important to note that when you are nearing it, that because it is GPS, because it is satellite, it's not going to be pinpointing you exactly where to find it. And so once you get within 10 or 15 feet of the cache, you may have to actually use your eyes and just look around for it. It might be in a little bit more obvious of a place, in like a nice niche hiding spot, which I'll be able to show you as we go along. So there are 4 rules to note while we are geocaching, and 2 of which I think we've already explained a little bit. So first one, when you make a trade, it has to be a fair trade. So you can't trade a giant stuffed teddy bear for a pencil eraser. You just can't do that. Now, you're not going to find something like that while you're geocaching, but just use that as an example. Make sure that it is a fair trade. When you are putting things in the cache, it can't be weapons, ammunition, medication, food, or money in the cache. Now, that's very important. The next thing, don't put your personal information in the cache. You don't need people knowing who you are, what your phone number is, what your social security is. That'd just be ridiculous. Why would you put that in there? Don't give your personal information. And lastly, make sure you're hiding that cache exactly where you found it. That's very important for other people to be able to have the same experiences that you're experiencing during your trip. Be careful of any routes, rivers, and roads. There are going to be some roads. Not in this case. We are going to be out in the woods today. So you won't have to worry about that today, especially because this is just a recording. So you won't have to worry about that too much. Maybe I will, but I will have to worry about roots, stumps. I might trip and fall. So be careful when you guys are going geocaching. A couple of reminders. Make sure that you guys are making good choices when you guys are geocaching. And that means what you're putting in there, what you're writing down. Remember that these GPS units, they can be kind of expensive, so make sure that you're being careful holding them. Don't run with them, please, because if you were to trip and fall, especially, that's not only a safety concern, but this is an expensive piece of equipment. Do not stop moving unless you have to, but make sure that you're also looking up from the GPS unit, because you don't want to trip and fall, and that would be not good. But again, as long as you are continuously moving, that'll be more beneficial for you and your GPS, because then you'll be able to get your direction pinpointed at which you are trying to go towards your geocache. If the satellite disconnects, then make sure that you go back into an open area where you're able to reconnect and be able to find that location for your geocache. The one thing that we are going to be using is our find button. So when we click find on the screen, you will notice, sorry, it's a bit windy, you will notice that a list will pop up of caches to find. Now we are going to find the one that says backyard of Chandler's house, and that is the one that we are going to be trying to locate. Now we are within 10 to 15 feet of the cache, and we see if we can't find anything. Why don't we check around back? There we go. We have found our geocache. Let's see what's inside. Now inside we have found the logbook, and we have a nice little trinket here. So we're gonna trade our little trinket, our frog. We're gonna put that in here, so that way somebody else can do that if they want. If they were to go on this cache, then they can find their trinket as well. And now we're gonna get out our pencil and we're gonna log. Nice handwriting. All right. And now it's time to put the cache right back where we found it. And now it's time to head back. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and hope you learned something about geocaching.